US Secretary of Defense Lloyd and Joint Chiefs Chairman General C.Q. Brown are traveling to the Middle East with stops in Israel, Qatar, and Bahrain. The trip also includes a visit to the USS Gerald R, which is underway now in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. The US military leadership is likely to advise Israel on how to transition from high intensity ground and air combat operations against Hamas in Gaza to a more limited campaign and prevent a wider regional war. In Israel, Austin will underscore the unwavering US commitment to Israel's right to defend itself in accordance with international humanitarian law, and he will also discuss steps Israel is taking to mitigate civilian harm. Meanwhile, US Central Command says in the early morning hours of the December 16, the US Arliegh Burke-class guided missile destroyer USS CARNEY DDG-64 operating in the Red Sea successfully engaged 14 unmanned aerial systems launched as a drone wave from the Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. The unmanned aerial systems were assessed to be one-way attack drones and were shot down with no damage to ships in the area or reported injuries. US regional Red Sea partners were alerted to the threat. Britain reported that a Royal Navy destroyer downed another drone that was targeting commercial ships. It was the latest in a series of attacks threatening commercial and US Navy ships in the Red Sea that have escalated after Israel intensified its response to the Hamas's strike against Israel on October 7th. Israel is stinging from the deadliest attack ever on its home front and has pledged that its offensive will not cease until Hamas is destroyed. Pentagon says while the conflict between Israel and Hamas is an Israeli campaign and it will ultimately be Israel's decision on how to move to the next phase of operations, Austin is interested in learning more about their plans going forward. Secretary Austin and Chairman Brown's trip highlights the increased efforts by the Biden administration to convince Israel that it should scale back its offensive, which has flattened much of Gaza's northern region, displaced millions, and killed more than 18,700 Palestinians, according to the health ministry in the Hamas-run territory. Israel's military push has been complicated by the dense urban population and Hamas's network of tunnels, and the militants are accused of using civilians as human shields. The sustained intensity of Israel's campaign has led President Joe Biden to warn that the US ally is losing international support because of its indiscriminate bombing. Now, killing of 3 Israeli hostages mistakenly by Israeli soldiers in Gaza while holding a white cloth has also mounted pressure on Israel. However, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that the tragic killing of 3 hostages by the IDF on Friday broke my heart. It broke the heart of the nation, but the IDF ground operations will continue and the war will continue until Hamas is destroyed. President Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, a few days earlier urged Netanyahu to shift to more targeted operations by smaller military teams hunting specific high-value targets rather than sustained broad bombardment that has occurred so far. In response to Sullivan's advice, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said Israel will continue its offensive operations against Hamas for several months. That means there would be complications for the tens of thousands of US service members deployed in the region. Austin, on before embarking on his Middle East visit, extended the deployment once more of the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R and a second warship in order to retain a 2-carrier presence in the Mediterranean Sea. The ships are seen as vital to deter Iran from widening the Israel-Hamas war into a regional conflict. The approximately 5,000 soldiers aboard the USS Ford were originally due home in early November. In Bahrain, Austin is expected to visit U.S. Naval Forces Central Command. The U.S. and Bahrain in collaborative efforts to convene multilateral coalitions to respond to increased Houthi aggression in the Red Sea that threatens shipping and the global economy. Since the October 7th attack on Israel by Hamas, Pentagon sources say Qatar has played a critical role in helping the U.S. communicate with Hamas. That effort was critical in securing the agreement for the release of some hostages. Qatar was also recently named a major non-NATO ally of the US and plays host to US forces at Al-Udeid Air Base. The secretary will visit the installation. Another part of Austin's trip is a visit to USS R Ford. The Ford, like the USS Eisenhower, is in the Middle East now as part of the US effort to make it clear that neither state or non-state actors should hope to escalate the ongoing conflict beyond Gaza. Austin's Middle East visit demonstrates what the US national defense strategy means. The Department of Defense retains the capability to dynamically and expeditiously flow forces into any theater in response to a crisis or contingency while maintaining its commitments in other theaters. Thanks for watching National Defense. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.